A Fox News host corrected Kellyanne Conway in the middle of the segment about Trump's comments on children being virtually immune to coronavirus. So now, Sandra Smith, who spoke to Conway following a decision by Facebook and Twitter to take down Trump's postings due to misinformation, did this segment with her, and I thought it was pretty good. So I want to share that.
On coronavirus cases in children under the age of 18. Under 18 accounts for about 7.4% of confirmed cases. That is up 6.7% from 2 weeks ago and up nearly 6% from a month ago. So kids are getting this disease, Kellyanne.
Yes, they are, and thankfully, most never make it to a hospital, and very few have died. Every death is a tragedy, every single one, let me make very clear. But those are national numbers, and not every state or even county or school district is the same. That's why you see so many of these parents overwhelmingly, when they're surveyed, Sandra, say, do you feel like it's safe to send your son or daughter back to school? And many of these parents are saying, yes, please do that.
Okay, hold on there. Okay, wow. So let's address that, right? So, oh no, Kellyanne Conway says most parents, according to polls, want to send their kids back to school. That is not completely incorrect. That's completely incorrect. So let me, unlike her, back this up with actual polls. So now, according to a Kaiser Family Foundation poll put out late last month, right? That's the most recent polling that I could find. 63% of parents said it's better to open schools later to minimize coronavirus infection risk. So that's a majority of parents, right? How about an AP NORC poll taken around the same time? They found that only 8% of Americans say K through 12 schools should open for normal in-person instruction. So that's generally what a lot of Republicans are saying. Just open up the schools. It'll be fine. Should be fine. 14% think that they can open with minor adjustments. And so that's a vast minority. As far as the majority, they say that 46% at least think that major adjustments to schooling are needed. And 31% think instruction should not be in person this fall at all. At all. Then we've got an ABC News Ipsos poll from around, again, that same time period, that found that a majority of all American adults, 55%, are against public schools in their community reopening with in-school instruction in the fall. So generally, throughout all these different polls, parents are not saying, oh yeah, no, send our kid back to school. They're saying maybe we should wait, or maybe we should make sure that we do some major adjustments before we send our kids back. And did Kellyanne Conway cite anything? Absolutely not, because she has no polls that back up her position. She is lying. I know. Shocker. She made it up. Anyway, so now let's get back to the segment here, right? So she drops a lot of whoppers in this one. And thankfully, at least Smith was there to challenge her on a couple of these. And so let's go to that.
So as Dr. Birx and others have been saying, we're seeing a flattening. Governor Ducey was here yesterday from Arizona showing a great model, I think, for the country. They had a huge surge in June.
I want to stick to children, though, because the debate right now is over the spread of misinformation by the president about children being nearly immune. Having under 18 kids in this country get the disease 7.4% of the time is not nearly immune. So is it helpful for the president to tell parents that children are nearly immune from this, and then have it factually spreading child to child in places like Mississippi, where they've opened the doors to their schools?
Well, in many interviews, the president makes very clear, uses the New Jersey example, information he got from Governor Phil Murphy, a Democrat of New Jersey, that in New Jersey, which was, I think, the second hardest hit state for a while, you had, I'm told, one child under the age of 18 who passed away, and that individual had underlying conditions. That's the information I have. So I think the president is making clear that overall The average age of those who passed from coronavirus is still at about 78. Over 40% of those who have passed away were in long-term facilities or nursing homes. But I think we also have to make very clear that a lockdown and shutdown may work for Joe Biden in Wilmington. It doesn't work for the rest of the country, and it doesn't work for many of our school children. We can't create a pandemic within a pandemic. We know from many of the health professionals that extended lockdowns and not being in school and pretending that we can replicate that online increases so many other maladies for these children.
And I get that, Kellyanne, and that's another conversation. But the point is, the president in that interview on Fox and Friends yesterday morning said it's going to go away, like things go away. And that is something many people are taking issue with.
All right, so count the interruptions, right? Where she's like, actually, no, the kids, the kids are not immune. We have the numbers. And, all Kellyanne Conway can do is be like, New Jersey, the kid in New Jersey, right? Well, there's a healthy 7-year-old in Georgia that died. An entire classroom of 20 children in that same state has to be quarantined now, right? And by the way, the issue here is not just children getting it, right? Yes, is it true that they do better than with the virus than adults? Yeah, generally, as far as we know, anyway. And look, we really don't know the long-term impacts and effects that it will have on children. We're only really starting to realize some of the long-term effects and impacts on adults that have gotten sick. You've got heart damage, you've got lung damage, you've got kidney damage, you have possible memory issues now that I've been reading about. And so this virus is incredibly nasty. This is a terrible virus, and we don't know what impact it's going to have on children, right? But we do know right now that children can get it. They may not be able to get, express symptoms, but you can spread it asymptomatically, right? And so, yeah, maybe herding them into in-person classes is not the best idea. But of course, Kellyanne Conway is ready with these deflections and won't actually talk about what the president said because there's no defense to it. You cannot defend against that. And so it's deflect, 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 and continue deflecting because I can't go out and say, oh, well, the president said something that was wrong when you're the president's counselor. And so here's one more just fantastic deflection that Kellyanne Conway goes on to make. And it's just absolutely ridiculous.
When Twitter has, of all people, I'd imagine tens of thousands of people work at Twitter, Sandra. When you have somebody who worked for Kamala Harris come out and announce that you're banning the president's tweet, you're taking it down, that itself shows a political motivation. And I think what many of these tech companies are doing now to the president, to conservatives, the shadow banning, the censoring, the selective engagement is election interference.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with the president literally putting out false information? Oh, I can't believe Twitter's shadow banning us. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Really? That's your defense. And then not only that, but of course going after Joe Biden as well. Well, I mean, Joe Biden, right? No, complete deflection. Complete deflection. Look, here's the thing, right? Facebook and Twitter are removing harmful disinformation, right? That's what they're doing. And look, the thing is that I kind of have a line, right? Look, I'm all for opinion, right? And I'm in favor of free speech, right? But when it comes to private corporations and when it comes to some of these platforms, and I think the only way to really remedy that is to take these independent platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and nationalize them. Then, of course, you can have free speech protections. But unless that happens, you don't have free speech protections. And so that's, by the way, and what the president's saying is not an opinion, which you are allowed to have. It's actually targeted disinformation from a political campaign for political reasons. And that's why it was removed, because it is harmful. It's not censorship. Again, private corporations, and unfortunately for them, these corporations are not required to platform disinformation.